Let's talk Balaam for a moment. There's a beautiful truth hidden in the story, and it's quite a funny story in itself, historical event. If we go to the chapter 22 of the book of Numbers, we begin the story there, and it says, up to this point, Israel is moving into the promised land. They're conquering one king after another. It is hectic. People are fleeing in fear. They are victorious because God is with them. And then Balak, from verse 2 in chapter 22, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. It was a very real fear. Everyone that faced Israel was beaten, wiped out immediately. There was no challenge or even a close call. It was done. So they had a real fear in their hearts. Then if you jump to verse 6, it says, therefore, he's now writing to Balaam, please come at once, curse this people for me, for they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. So Balaam is a non-Israelite prophet from Pethor, and he is now being summoned to come and curse the tribes of Israel. Now we jump ahead in verse 41, past the whole incident with the donkey and the angel. You should read the whole chapter. It's beautiful. It says, Balaam's first prophecy. So it was the next day that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high place of Baal, that from there he might observe the extent of the people. So looking down on the encampment of the Israelites. And then Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me here and prepare for me 7 bulls and 7 rams. And he makes a sacrifice to the Lord, and he goes to meet with the Lord. And God, verse 4, met Balaam, and he said to him, I have prepared the 7 altars, and I have offered on each altar a bull and a ram. Then the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return to Balak, and thus you shall speak. He goes back to King Balak and blesses the socks of Israel. Boom. Balak's very upset. This is not why I hired you or offered you gold. I hired you to curse them. Now you come and bless them. And he says, yeah, I've got to say what God puts in my mouth. Verse 13, Balaam's second prophecy. Because if it doesn't work the first time, might as well try it twice. Then Balak said to him, please come with me to another place from which you may see them. You shall see only the outer part of them, and shall not see them all. Curse them for me from there. So off they go, they build the altars, he does the altars, he meets with the Lord gives him a blessing, he blesses Israel. Verse 25, then Balak said to Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. So Balaam answered and said to Balak, did I not tell you, saying all that the Lord speaks, that I must do? So Balak's like pulling his hair out here. This guy's an idiot. He's calling him to curse these people, and he just keeps blessing them. That's twice now. You'd think lesson learned, right? No. Balak's desperate. Balaam's third prophecy, verse 27. Then Balak said to Balaam, please come. I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God that you may curse them for me from there. So he's thinking maybe it's a location thing. God didn't dig these previous locations. We'll take him to another location, and there he can curse Israel. Yeah, we both know what happens next. All of us have seen this unfold. He blesses the socks of Israel. And chapter 24, verse 2, and Balaam raised his eyes and saw Israel encamped according to their tribes. And the Spirit of God came upon him, and he blesses the socks off of them. Now, that verse particularly I want you to remember. Balaam raised his eyes and saw Israel encamped according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. Up until now, he's seen bits and pieces of them because they're so large from the vantage points. But here, he sees them all encamped according to their tribes. And when you look at the layout of the encampment as described in the Bible, with the tent of meeting in the middle, they're encamped in the shape of a cross. Cross of Jesus, the covenant. That is how they're encamped. He's looking on the cross, even though he's looking at the Israeli encampment before him. Anyway, so third prophecy blesses them again. Balak very upset, anger aroused and everything, but he's still going to give it one more go because, 4 is maybe his lucky number. So gets Balaam to curse them again, and for the 4th time, Balaam blesses them. Now, the interesting thing here is that Balaam, if you read further in the book of Numbers from verse chapter 30 onwards, you'll find out that after seeing he can't curse Israel, he can only bless them. And looking on the cross, he can only bless them. He gives advice to the king because he still wants the gold, that they should lure the Israelites into idolatry and harlotry with the prostitutes. And by so doing will cause them to sin, sins of the flesh, and turn away from God, and thus God will deal with them. So he gives that really evil advice, which they do, and it happens, and it causes chaos in Israel. So that in itself shows you an important thing I want to point out to you. It brings us to Romans chapter 8 verse 1. And in the King James it says, "There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit." There is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, in the cross, in that covenant relationship brought about by the blood of the Lamb. And when Balaam looked down and saw the cross, there is no condemnation on those people. He had to entice them to walk according to the flesh and away from God in their sins, to be able to be judged rightfully and broken down. And this verse clearly tells us there is no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. You walk according to sexual immorality, idolatry, and the flesh. There will be judgment on that. That sin will take a toll and a price. We should be walking after the Spirit, seeking righteousness, seeking the Lord's face and His way, listening to His commands, and staying in Him always. But how beautiful is that Balaam stood and looked down and he saw them encamped in the shape of a cross, and there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. God bless. Keep looking up. Shalom.